what we have to always do, regardless of who you voted for, you still got to pay your rent, you still got to take care of your kids, you still got to take care of your business. And maybe some of what's happening, like, you know, they're trying to take apart the Department of Education.
Yes.
Maybe that is a good thing, because maybe it will force us to make sure that our kids actually get what they need. Maybe it'll force us to go to our state and say, listen, I want to make sure, since you're taking all this money from my taxes, I want to make sure that my kids get exactly what they need. I don't have to wait for the government to do it. We can do it. This is now in our hands. This is in our hands, and it's going to be tough, and nobody wants to do it because it's a bitch. But you know what? If it comes down to your survival, this is what you got to do. You got to take care of what you got to take care of. And they're telling me that we're going to be right back.
What you just heard is a clear example of mixed messages and contradictions in the media. Someone who normally supports big government and federal programs is now suddenly preaching independence and personal responsibility. She says, no matter who you voted for, you still have to pay your bills, raise your kids, and handle your business. That sounds like common sense, right? That's actually been Donald Trump's message for years. Take care of your family, focus on yourself, and stop relying so much on the government. Then she mentions that maybe breaking down the Department of Education is actually a good idea. Really? Now? After years of fighting against any attempt to reform it? Trump and his supporters have been calling for major changes in education for a long time. He wanted less government control and more power given back to parents and local schools. Back then, it was seen as controversial. But now, with the system struggling, the same people who opposed it seem to be coming around. She also says, we don't have to wait on the government. We can do it ourselves. Again, that's exactly what Trump said over and over: less dependence on federal help and more community-based action. It's about putting power back in the hands of regular people. Then she throws in, it's a bitch, as if being real makes it okay. But here's the thing. This is the reality many Americans have been living through. It's tough, and Trump didn't try to cover that up. He talked about putting America first, standing strong, and being honest about the country's struggles. So if people like Whoopi are now repeating ideas Trump's been saying all along, maybe it's time the other side admits it. He wasn't wrong about everything.
Don't have cars, don't have driver's licenses. So it's sort of a vestige of, I think, post-slavery laws where Black people had to prove their right to vote, and oftentimes they couldn't vote because they couldn't pass some crazy test, or they didn't have the appropriate ID. It also affects women that are married. Maybe your passport reflects something that's different on your birth certificate or on your driver's license. So really, the bottom line is voter suppression, and I agree with him 100%. It's a brilliant notion that less voter ID laws allows more people to vote. And most democracies do it that way. We're the only ones that really don't do it that way.
Here we go again. Another over-the-top claim from the left. This time it's Sunny Hostin saying that voter ID laws are somehow connected to slavery-era oppression. She says people don't have cars or driver's licenses, and that requiring an ID to vote is a leftover idea from post-slavery times. But come on, it's 2025. You need an ID for almost everything these days. Whether you're flying, picking up a prescription, or just proving your age at a store, showing ID is part of everyday life. So why is it suddenly considered unfair or even racist to ask for ID when voting? That doesn't make sense. It feels more like fear tactics than a real argument. Sunny brings up how Black Americans were once denied voting rights. And yes, that's part of our country's painful history. But today's voter ID laws aren't targeting anyone. They apply to everyone the same way. No matter your race, gender, or income, if you're voting, you should be able to prove who you are. That's just fair. She also says it affects women because their names might not match exactly on all their documents. That's a small issue that can be easily fixed. If you can do your taxes, order groceries online, or go on a trip, you can handle voting with ID. It's not complicated. The truth is, the left wants to make people believe that basic steps like these are a form of oppression. But they're not. They're about keeping our elections safe and honest. Donald Trump and many conservatives have said it from the beginning. One legal voter, one vote. Show your ID, just like most other countries require. Sonny calls it suppression, but in reality, it's about protecting the votes of law-abiding citizens. It's about fairness, not exclusion. Want trustworthy elections? Just bring your ID, simple as that.